Paintball nerd.
All right, today's guest on Paintball Nerds Fun 5 began his professional career in 1999 with the Ironmen. He then started Team Dynasty with his best friends in 2002 and played with them until he retired in 2017. After a 6-year hiatus, he returned to paintball to win World Cup and the series with his best friends on Dynasty. He is everyone's favorite player. He's paintball's poster boy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Oliver Lang. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Isaac. Good to see you, bro.
Good to have you on, man. So, how was the weekend?
Yeah, it was a big weekend, man. It was all I could have ever imagined and a lot more. It was pretty powerful on many levels. Many levels, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great memory for me, and I wasn't even on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think between the fact of me being away for so long and so many people missing me, and then being able to see me, and then missing me also playing, and then be able to see me play, and then being able to win, and then it was just a combination of greatness. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was absolutely incredible. It was a very special moment, and you've had a lot of those in paintball. You've had a ton of special memories. Do you have a favorite memory?
It's a good question. Gosh, it's so like there is all those really big moments, many big World Cups and many big moves and such like that. But I don't know, for some reason when you ask me that, I remember the first time I ever shot somebody playing paintball, and it was like in the woods, crawling around them. I had a pump gun, like a tracer at the time was what you could rent. And
Mare Island?
Yeah. And super young, and somehow crawled up behind him, and he had crawled up in front of us, and I just seen him, and I'm like, and then hit him, and it's just exhilarating. It was and he was like a grown man, so that for some reason when you ask me that's what flashes first. I wish I could say it was when I was in Toulouse and 17 and we won, but it's for some reason was that, and maybe that was because it was such a lasting impression that continued, that drove me to continue on, and maybe that's why it was so potent.
Man, that's a perfect answer. Your first memory in paintball, first time you shot someone.
It was a when I shot someone and I actually for sure shot somebody, because there's those moments where you're confirmed, where you're like, oh yeah, I think I got him, and then you come off and you tell your buddy, yeah. I got two, but you don't really know.
Yeah.
That was confirmed. Yeah.
Man, I love that. That's the favorite memory. That's a good one. I have a favorite memory of you on the field. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
So it was when you first went to Dynasty, when you guys first formed Dynasty, and it was at the LA Open, and you're playing against the Ironmen in the finals.
Okay, yeah.
And it could have been the semis. It might have been the semis.
You were on the team.
Field. Huh?
You were on the team on
No,
Ironman?
I was not on the Ironman. I was still playing amateur at that time.
What was the team again that you were on? I remember it, but I can't think of it.
It was either Legacy or Platinum.
I think it was Platinum. Yeah.
And so you were on the JT field, and you were playing against the Ironmen. So it was a big deal because you had just left them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yosh had just gone to them.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So so there was a big thing in the middle. Like it could have been like a Aztec or something. It was a large bunker in the middle, and you went up to the middle of the field, shooting left, and you chopped down a couple of guys trying to fill out to the left, maybe 2 or 3. And after that, you ran up the middle of the field and bunkered out a couple other guys, and you actually tripped on the way. You went to go run up the field, and you tripped, and you got back up, bunkered a couple of people, and shot a couple of people out, and the game was over very quickly.
Yeah, it was when they had the airball bunkers were all connected by those. They had before. Remember, that's what I tripped over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, there's a sequence of that in one of these paint magazines somewhere. I remember that.
Yeah, dude, that was an impactful memory for me. It was I think I did know you at the time, but I was just like, wow, like what an amazing move. Like that's something that's always stuck with me. And it's funny because I feel like moves like that today are not as celebrated because there's another point afterwards. Your team could still lose if you make a great move like that. Whereas back in that day, like that move meant moving on. It was everything.
Totally. That's a good point. There was like those moves were like mountains, like if you made one of those moves in one tournament, like you were remembered for a long time. Because I
You
remember
built your career.
guys, yeah, I remember guys who had made like an epic move and that, was everlasting for sure. You're right. That's a good point. Yeah, X
Yeah.
ball, it's so turnover, 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 which is cool. But you definitely forget some of the moves. You got to go back and watch them, and to try to remember them.
Yeah. Like remember in Push when Rocky dived over the snake and people talked about it for years?
Still do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I remember Rocky for sure.
Yeah. But Ryan dives over the snake and bunkers people like 5 times a tournament.
Totally, totally. They don't even take pictures of it anymore. They're
No,
like,
they don't. It doesn't matter.
boring. Let's film something else.
So speaking of Ryan Oliver, do you have a favorite player?
Definitely, Ryan's definitely my favorite player
Yeah.
because Ryan is, he's my like protagonist, antagonist of my career. He's the person who, it was Alex and I, it was Yosh and Ryan, and then kind of we came in, and Ryan was head and shoulders better than all three of us for sure at that point at the beginning stages. So Alex and I were chasing to get better than him. I
Mm,
mean, he was good, like already,
yeah.
and so my whole career has been, well, between Alex and Ryan, definitely, that trifecta of our dynamic has made us all amazing players because we're all kind of competing against each other and with each other at the same time. So it's an interesting dynamic. But I feel like Ryan, because he's not only an excellent player, no doubt, but he's really just the iconic professional paintball player. I think a head and shoulders above anybody else in the league. I mean, he doesn't even get paid to play on Dynasty, and he's never. And many people have tried to get him to play on other teams, and he's never gone. And he doesn't come from family money. He's self-made in that sense, and he grinds. I mean, Ryan's probably, an interesting fact about Ryan is he's probably taught more people how to play paintball than anybody, and
Yeah.
is continuing to do that, which is a huge service to paintball and the paintball community and individuals who are trying to grow themselves in the sport. And firsthand, Ryan Greenspan shows up at your field, and I mean, I was tired of doing clinics 7 years ago, and he's literally still been doing and more clinics than he used to do for the last 7 years. So I can't even imagine how many people he's taught. Probably tens of thousands of people.
Yeah. And I love how he gives back to the sport too. Like he'll show up to scenario events and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he is paintball, and that's why I got to say Ryan, because he's just a next level player. He's a next level example for the game, and that's also why Hormesis went after him first and foremost as a sponsored individual, because we want to recognize people who do that. There's not that many, and Ryan's definitely not only the best at it, but he's also my best friend, so it's like it's a win-win in that sense, right?
Yeah. Awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
So talking about hormesis, headbands are kind of they always have been this right. They're this evanescent item, right, that deteriorates and turns to nothing eventually. Like we all have that headband that didn't make it. You can't even tie it anymore because it'll rip. But
Totally.
headbands are always important.
Yeah.
And so I think I know the answer to this question, but I mean, do you have an item that's special to you that you can't step on the field without?
Well, I mean, nowadays, obviously it's a little bit different because I'm kind of coming in. I came in new with, you know, nothing that I used to have. But for sure, back in the day, it was the headband. It was something that you could carry over year to year, especially once you got, new gun, new pads, new pants, new goggles, new loaders. Like that stuff kind of became like expendable, and then headbands became like super. I like what you said, evanescence. You know, like you were wearing them, and if they were working for you, you better keep using it. You know, it was like
Mhm.
kind of like a little magic lucky charm in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's always been interesting. There's always been a scarcity for some reason with headbands, and I don't understand that exactly. I can kind of put it together now, but like even when we first got our first Sandana headbands at like 15, Alex ordered some. You know, the guy like kind of gave us a little sponsorship, gave us some few extra ones, and we had a nice amount, you know, maybe like 10. We gave some away, but like we couldn't get them ever again after that, you know, like we
Yeah.
never ordered them. So like we had to hold on to it, you know, we had to like, okay, this is valuable, you know, we can get another jersey, we can get another thing, but you know, we can't get this. And then it kind of became a little bit of insignia, and it became lucky, and it became your identity, you know. So I think for sure, you know, a headband travels and carries over, and it becomes kind of your like little secret weapon in your tool belt, you know, of, you know, any type of superstition or magic or whatever you want to call it, you know. So it's like, and you get it. People who have been playing for a while get that, you know, and you definitely got to retire them after a certain point for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have maybe two Iron Kids headbands. One of them might even be from that original stash that Alex got when we were 15. And I wore it for maybe like 5 years or 6 years, you know? And
Yeah.
then you get a lot of wins out of it. You get a lot of trips with it. I mean, when you have anything that's like, you know, like this is like, I'm at my mom's house, and this is the letter opener. And this is the letter opener her mom used, you know? And like, it's just a letter opener, but like you can see that there's been good time spent with this thing, you know.
Yep.
It's an heirloom at this point. Like I'll probably get this thing, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody touches something a lot and uses it a lot, it gets energy.
Absolutely.
It gets something. And the headband, not only are you touching it and cradling it, but you're sweating in it, and
Mm.
it's around your cranium, and it's protecting you, and it's, you know, helping you, and it's also identifying you, and it's also allowing you to express yourself. So it's a fantastic item, you know. It's like even I love taking photos of people with headbands, because it's like it's the perfect item. It's just blocking this part of your head, which is like the billboard anyways, you know.
Yeah.
And you get to fully see somebody, you still get to see their hair, you get to see their eyes. It's not like, you know, it's not like glasses where you don't
Yeah.
see, you know, you don't see them anymore. So it's like headband is like the best product, you know, in a sense of being able to capture somebody, you know, and really see them
Totally.
and see the product, you know. When you wear a
Yeah.
goggle, you don't even see them at all, you know.
Yeah. Because a lot of times the headband is an expression of their personality, the color that they choose, the pattern that they choose. So in
Totally.
addition to seeing their hair and their eyes and their smile, they're you get to see this expression of themselves on their forehead, on the billboard of their face.
Totally, totally, totally. And you know, between what brand they buy, and I mean, also for some reason, people just look cool in them. I don't know. It's hard to explain, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even when you see like Hell's Angels bikers with like bandanas
Totally.
on their head, you know, they just look cool.
Exactly.
You know, you see a
Yeah.
Native American, he's got a bandana tied on his head too. You're like, oh, this guy
Ninjas,
looks
Chuck
cool.
Norris. The list goes on.
Ninjas tuck. It's so true, you know. So I don't know. It's some sort of weird thing, you know. The the headband phenomenon, and it's kind of maybe just beginning. I don't know, you know. It's like
Yeah.
maybe it could be like a full on fashion statement one day, you know, where you're wearing bandanas on the street, you know, like women wear purses, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that time almost happened in the 70s. Maybe it did happen, but I think you're right. I think it could come back and people could just be wearing them as normal streetwear, as normal clothing. It would make
Totally.
sense.
I mean, they are cool, you know. I mean,
They are.
I saw the one that I was wearing this weekend, which is the caduceus, and it's like, man, I felt like I was like a Greek god, you know, like wearing that around my head, you know.
Yeah. Is that your favorite one? Your favorite Hormesis?
No, but I mean, it's definitely, I have a lot of favorites, so it's hard to pinpoint one, but for me it's about the symbols that are on it and the meaning of the symbols, because again, if you're going to wrap something around your head and try to utilize it for gain some strength and power, you might as well have something around it that's got some potency, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like super subtle, but I'm into the edge, man. You know, like if so, the caduceus is essentially energy, right?
Mm.
So I'm wrapping like extra energy around my head, right? So like I'd also wear one that has the sun, you know, because the sun has massive amount of energy. And I also made ones that have planet glyphs. Those have massive amount of energy, you know. Different animals. Like I got the hummingbird. That's got another energy to it. Scorpion, the yin yang. You know, like all those things are like they're not just generic symbols that I'm throwing up there. Every single one of them has some meaning to it, you know.
Right.
And then also what I'm doing, if I can't do symbols, I'm doing cymatic patterns, which are, if you can Google cymatic, but what a cymatic is when there's a vibration that's like carried through water, and the water will resonate and it'll create a form. And you can do it with sand also. So essentially, like the other patterns of the hormesis are cymatics, which is a vibration. So you're wearing a vibration on your head, you know, which is very powerful.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked into that actually, and it's like water it carries a memory as well.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
like when you vibrate into water and it creates the shape, it holds the memory as well. And
That's
that's what
right.
a
So
snowflake is. You can
that's
freeze a water memory.
totally. And you're water. So everything that you're thinking is getting recorded into the memory of your body. And so you got to be super vigilant about what you're thinking and what you're saying to yourself, and catch yourself when you're thinking things that aren't progressive or productive. In fact, most of the time they're a little bit malign, you know, and harmful. So you got to get super vigilant on that. And the water is memory, and it's in you, and you are it. So you might as well be blessing it up with nice thoughts and positivity, you know. Like even like, you know, I got a tattoo here, and this is, you know, when you tattoo something onto yourself, you better make sure it's got another vibration, because this is essentially carrying the vibration into your blood. So this is the most beautiful thing you can say in the world in Balinese.
Hmm.
So it's like that's coming through me all the time.
Do you have any other tattoos?
Yeah, I have another Balinese one that says Om Swastiastu, which is another Balinese, like kind of it's like a not a mantra, but like you say it when you see each other. It's like a blessing when you see each other. It's like a meeting, kind of like a welcoming.
I know of one other top secret tattoo.
Yeah, I got a couple little ones.
So, man, Oliver, it's like it's crazy talking to you after all these years, because like I can tell that there's been a lot of personal and spiritual growth that's happened since the last time I connected with you. It's awesome, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean we're all on a journey that's, whether you like to believe it or not, spiritual. And material is what's
Yeah.
happening so that we can try to understand it. And there's just a lot going on, you know. And it's like once you take that moment to stop and to start to examine it, there's a lot of interesting things start to happen, you know. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, not a lot of people get to do that because they get so caught up in the go go go, you know. So for me to retire and for me to back out of my life and in a sense escape it, so that I could have perspective on it, was essentially what I was trying to do and gain. And not only paintball, but you know, it was through friends and through business and through you know, living uh, parameters. And so it was like a full death. It wasn't just paintball, you know. It wasn't like I quit paintball and still stayed in San Diego and saw my same friends and did the same work or whatnot. It was like a full total, you know, complete shift of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I can certainly see it. You know, you reached the top before you did that, and you came back and you're still at the top. What do you think it takes? I mean, if you can even verbalize this, what do you think it takes to get to the level that you're at? Not only as a player, Oliver, but like in the industry as well.
Hmm. Well, if you like if you were to timeline this thing and like kind of catalog, you know, sequentially the way these things work, like it had to be done this way because it wouldn't have been done the other way. Like there was a sequence of things that needed to occur for us to be able to retain the information to make Hormesis, you know, and the name. And I would have had to go and live in Bali, and I had to study the materials, and I had to meet people who showed me the places. This was well before Hormesis happened, you know.
Mm.
And then, yeah, you know, like I wouldn't have ever thought that we would have had our own brand or been in the industry, you know.
Right.
I just never thought like that, you know. Like both you and I had jobs for Dye, and I think both you and I kind of got burned out with the industry job life. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I love paintball. I don't want to corrode it with, you know, it being tarnished by being in the industry, you know. So let me
Yep.
just love it and be away from it. But now it's kind of come in a totally different spectrum, and it's way cooler, you know. And in fact, I love being in the industry. In fact, I love the fact that I'm now a business owner of a brand in the industry, and I think we're just beginning.
So you literally are just beginning. You know,
Yeah,
Hormesis
yeah,
is a very new company,
super
and
new.
it's, I mean, but it's beloved already. Like people love it. I love it. You know.
Hmm. Cool, man. I love that. I love to hear that. I mean, I think that's what's more powerful than having just a brand. It's like people like love it and can relate to it, and I mean, there's a massive amount of, I don't even know what you would call it, just yeah, pure beauty, like what's happened online. Like we've got communities and people supporting each other and helping each other out, connecting, meeting, networking, you know, starting business, maybe falling in love, you know, like what, you know, like who, what kind of business does, you know, is involved in that, you know, like, but that's what I'm
It's a
into.
movement.
I'm into community, you know, and if
Yeah.
Hormesis is the thread that ties us together, great, you know. Um, and it's helping me just get more involved, you know, and also feel um, somewhat, you know, reciprocated from it, you know,
Yeah.
because after you give for a long time, you know, it's beautiful to give, but eventually, you know, it's nice to receive. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening now. There's a big abundance from it in the sense of, you know, many things, you know, it's not only fiscally, but, you know, through people and friends and possibilities and creativity and, um, yeah, it's like it just opened up a whole new avenue of how the game, what the game was for me. You know, it's like there's another level of this game that just opened. You know, which is the business aspect of it, but the business is basically community building. You know,
Yeah.
basically. So
Well,
it's like we
yeah.
can do business and also we can help people and we can connect people and we can grow the sport. Like okay, that's a win-win all around. You know.
Well, certainly, Oliver, you forming Hormesis has helped inspire me to start Paintball Nerd. You know, I saw like you and Oliver sent me a headband, and I mean you and Alex sent me a headband, and Alex wrote a note in there, and it made me feel like remembered. You know, and I think that that's all any of us want. You know, in paintball is to be remembered. You know,
Totally.
and I felt like, man, like these guys that I look up to made me like really feel like I mattered. And I felt like I wanted to at that point, like I want to find a way to give back to the sport in my own special way. You know, you guys did it with headbands, and you know, I'm not necessarily a product guy, but I thought maybe, you know, because I love paintball and I'm kind of a paintball nerd, maybe I can give back that way. So
Totally.
uh, I would say certainly that you have created a ripple effect. I mean, at least in my life. So I'm certainly thankful for that.
Totally. And I think that that's like in a weird way the way it was supposed to be, you know? Like
Yeah.
you needed to go away again to come back. I did the same thing. In fact, like a lot of the things we're doing, you know, I'm doing it for nostalgic reasons so that people can also connect to that again and, you know, like want to play. Like we just made all these silly jumpsuits, you know, like
I love them.
they're outdated paintball attire, but at the same time it's like they're amazing
They're
because
so good.
that's what we grew up playing in. And also it's like it's funny. And then if you play in it, it's like extra funny. And then I want like guys like LB and these guys who haven't played for years go, oh man, I'm gonna go get one of those jumpsuits and I'm gonna go play this weekend with my kid. And I feel
Yeah.
like once we get our kids playing, you know, who like right, you and I were in a generation era of this where it was relatively new, you know, and I mean, I don't know how your parents did it. Luckily, my mom was quite sweet about it and supported me, but not a lot of parents supported their kids doing this because it was just so far left field. Whereas, I
Yeah.
feel like now those kids came up with us, and now they've already had kids, and now they're my age, your age, and now their kids are like 10 or whatever it is, and now they're going to start bringing them, and they're going to be supporting them to play and like rooting them on, and like usher, and like being like, hey, is this what you want to do? Because I'll support you,
Yeah. Yeah, dude, 100%. Man, there's so much to be thankful for with paintball, man. It's like it has certainly changed my life. It's been my life. Oliver, what would you say that you're most thankful for that paintball has brought you?
Yeah, definitely just the confidence that it's given me, because I feel like that's such a key element to a lot of things in life, and also it taught me how to not be overconfident. It was like that nice balance of being able to boost myself enough to have faith and believe in myself, but not become an arrogant jerk, right? Because I saw what happens if you do that, especially
Mm,
within the industry and within the sport. It doesn't really get you so far, to be
yeah.
honest. It might make you look cool for a moment, but at the end of the day, you pay dividends from that. So yeah, I just feel like confidence is such an element of value, especially in this day and age. Like you got to be confident in the way that you show up every day into life.
Yeah.
And paintball taught me how to be confident. It brought me out of my shell of a little kid who didn't have brothers or sisters, or who didn't have community, who didn't have any sort of mentorship or guidance. And now all of a sudden, in a very small amount of time, I have all those things.
Yeah.
And not only have them, but I'm able to give it to others also. So confidence for sure.
Awesome. Oliver, dude, thank you so much for your time here. Is there anything that you want to part with for the paintball community?
What do you mean? Say to them,
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
with. Yeah, I just feel like guys, just kind of do what Zizek said, is get inspired and figure out how to show up show up show up, and however that means, whether it's making a brand and a company, or whether it's being a referee or doing something here online. It's like there's so many of us, and there's so much to do, and there's so much to give, and there's so many people to connect with, and so many people to even inspire others. So the more you're doing your life, the more that you're showing up and being who you are meant to be, that inspires more other people. So it's like it's a win-win. So everybody get out there and start giving yourselves, and figuring it out. It might take some time, but it's part of the process.
Awesome. Thanks, Oliver.
Yeah. Thanks, Isaac.